So here we are, it is the last couple of months of 2024, and there's been a lot of firings happening lately across the board within the film industry, the Hollywood bubble, whatever have you. There's been a lot of things going on via studio executives, CEOs, board of directors, two different studios out there, and a lot of this also has to do with a lot of flack that these studios have been getting in the past couple of years based on box office failures, their ideology being shoehorned into these projects, and more. But focusing here on one actor in particular that a lot of you may know, Robert De Niro, who, as far as I see it, is a very toxic actor, and as a person as well, he's ridiculous when it comes to the things that he actually says to the public eye, and what makes matters even worse is exactly what's been going on behind the scenes between himself and a very specific studio, and why he's getting very much bent out of shape about a recent decision. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So as you all know, Robert De Niro is another actor out there who is very much unhinged. Very much like those like George Clooney, who has said ridiculous things as well, such as other actors as well. But what's interesting about this has a lot more to do with the fact that we have George Clooney, and among others within the Hollywood bubble, Robert De Niro. I mean, there are just so many. Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, the list goes on and on. However, this is where things begin to erupt within the overall studio known as Warner Brothers. Now, you guys may know Warner Brothers. They are the very studio that created Joker 1 and Joker 2, which, by the way, was abysmal, and was supposed to have flashback scenes of Murray by Robert De Niro that did not work out for various reasons. We talked about that briefly. But with the film industry and the entire Hollywood bubble facing major backlash right now from the general public, one major development that is brewing now involves more to do with Robert De Niro, and how a major studio recently fired him and removed him from two projects after he has been getting so much backlash after all the comments that he has made over the past couple of months, especially recently. It turns out, in a shocking update to the situation, that De Niro was set to reprise his role as a mobster, or a mob boss, if you will, for a new major film title from Warner Brothers for 2027. The same studio that created both Joker 1 and 2, where De Niro's flashback scenes, like I said before, were axed for the Joker sequel. It turns out that David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers, and the many executives there had a recent falling out with De Niro after they picked up on his unhinged comments that he had made toward the general public and toward a specific individual that even Warner Brothers could not ignore. Now, this led to a series of arguments where their new mob boss movie that they plan to release in 2027 went through a complete facelift after they fired Robert De Niro from the cast, and now this project is facing an outright cancellation from their film roster. Already, Robert De Niro is blaming CEO David Zaslav as being foolish and listening to one side of the country, and took it very personally, and is warning that he will be willing to take some form of legal action toward Warner Brothers if they do not reinstate his role in the very near future. This also comes shortly after Zaslav decided to cancel plans for Joker 3 that was supposed to involve more flashback scenes for De Niro's character Murray, and another project featuring De Niro that was set to be an action thriller. That too he was fired and removed from. However, the action thriller project by Warner Brothers is still a go for 2026. Now, De Niro is already warning of creating a legal case, like I said before, against the WB executives for firing him in an unprofessional way for having an opinion and how he feels about real-world issues. Now, WB, however, saw this as a serious risk to not just their image, but also to their upcoming marketing campaigns for those projects, such as press tours for the projects that were supposed to feature De Niro, who was supposed to be paid, get this, an estimated $20 million for the Mob Boss movie that he was going to take inspiration from films like Casino and Goodfellas. This movie is now in jeopardy after losing De Niro. Of course, they are desperately looking to recast now for the role, and it's not going so good so far. In addition to all of that, De Niro was also complaining that his screen time was too short in the upcoming Mob Boss movie, and felt that he deserved more screen time entirely. This led to ultimate creative differences behind the scenes, and was best described to be the beginning of the shakeup between De Niro and the WB studio executives. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about Robert De Niro, is that this is yet again another actor that is self-absorbed, another in the Hollywood bubble that really has no touch with reality, like Jimmy Kimmel, George Clooney, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, there are so many that we could name. I could be here all day. But Robert De Niro, alright, we talked about this very lightly in the early stages, like 3.5 weeks ago, about what was going on between himself and WB for an untitled project that had an unspecified category, and it turns out it was going to be a mob boss movie. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was not too impressed with The Irishman on Netflix. I really didn't feel it. It really wasn't for me. It really just did not have the same energy and authenticity when it came to movies like Casino and Goodfellas and among others that he starred in. But when you look at a movie like this, that was supposed to feature De Niro as a mob boss by Warner Brothers, and how it seems like he's trying to keep his career intact, it seems like he's going, or trying to go back to his roots of doing mob movies, and I just don't think it's going to work out in the end. I really don't. You know, because a lot of studios now, and we'll talk about this in just a second, a lot of studios are beginning to have a change of heart about De Niro after the extreme, and I say extreme, things that he has said on live television, in interviews, in magazines, in podcasts, and especially when he was talking about other movies out there. And I think at the end of the day, Robert De Niro is just getting worse by the minute. But what's interesting here further, to make matters worse, is that other studios, surprisingly, are also looking to drop De Niro from their film roster, and updates on that will be presented within the next couple of weeks. We'll keep you guys tuned. But one of those studios are actually said to be Universal, with one of their projects that are set to feature De Niro in the next 3 years. Now, we're not quite sure exactly what that project is going to be, whether or not it's going to be a mob movie. I highly doubt it. It's most likely going to be a family-friendly film. Lately, his movies have been so lackluster, have been so unneeded or unnecessary, that nobody even decides to even go ahead and watch them anymore. You know, Robert De Niro is a has-been at this point. He is an afterthought. Nobody cares about the guy anymore. When it comes to his new films, they're just abysmal. But focusing on Warner Brothers, I think that this was a good move by David Zaslav. And look, I'm a major critic of David Zaslav as much as I am of Bob Iger. But this was at least a step in the right path to saying, alright, you stepped over the line, we can't deal with somebody like that makes such crazy comments in the public eye, that yeah, he would have served a major risk to their marketing campaigns for those films, and to their press tours for those movies. I mean, look at what happened just on a level with Rachel Zegler for the Snow White film by Disney. Looking at that, it's like nothing compared to what Robert De Niro has said. And that would have been a disastrous situation for WB, for David Zaslav, and among others out there. So I would like to hear what everyone has to say about De Niro, what you all think about him in 2024, and what you think about him moving onward as we go throughout the 2020s. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.